So today, my job is to mount this power supply and this button on the pad. You might be asking yourself, wouldn't it have been a good idea to mount these things before I painted the pad? Yes, it would have. So I came up here to look for some screws that would allow me to mount this power supply. And the only screws that I had that were small enough were these. Which just barely fit. And these are 632. So I looked through this whole thing of taps that I got from a yard sale for like $5, and I found one, this tap. So hopefully it doesn't break. Okay, so I got this mounted here. It's nice and snug. It only has 2 screws, one on each side. Now I have to do the button. So this button has to get mounted on the other side, but on the side of the pad. And I don't have a drill that's big enough for this hole. It's 19 millimeters. So I'm gonna have to use this. This is like a hole saw for wood. And I'm just gonna have to use this to make the hole. I really, to be honest, I think this is gonna be a disaster. And I guess if this goes terribly wrong, my plan will be to use the biggest drill I can find, and then to just, like, over the course of a couple hours, use a hand file and just file the hole open until it's big enough, which is going to be terrible. But I want to give this a shot, and maybe if I go slow, I can somehow get through this plate, which is a little bit thinner on the sides. So, maybe I'll get lucky. I know that a lot of people are probably screaming at me right now saying this is going to be a terrible idea to cut through this with a wood bit, but I agree with you. This sucks, and I don't think it's going to turn out well, but I feel like I have to do it, so here we go. All right, back to the drawing board.
Stu, what are you doing?
Filing a hole in my pad.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Why on earth are you filing a hole in your pad?
Because I've lost control of my life.
Well, yeah, I knew that was going to be hard. I didn't know it was going to be that hard. But, it's done. This is all mounted. I have my button here. Man, that was tough. Unfortunately, I did scratch this up a little bit with the file, so I probably will have to buy some more paint just to touch things up. But, whew, man, that was a lot of filing. Alright, so I just got a piece of plastic here, and I'm probably going to mount the breadboard to this, with the double-sided tape, and then I'll screw this piece of plastic down to the bottom of the frame, and that way if I ever need to remove it to service the breadboard or change it out, I can just take this whole thing off, and I don't have to worry about the double-sided tape. So I think my plan is just to do one screw here, one screw there, probably somewhere like this. Alright, so now I'm just going to assemble all the switch frames onto the pad, and then I can start doing some testing with the lights. So I put all the panels on just to kind of get an idea of what I'm going to be working with inside. And I put this circuit together. This is using, so there's my Teensy, and these are the new MOSFET modules that I'm using, which are made for LED RGB lights. So I think this is really improved. I think in another video I'll do like more explanation of how this works and how to, where to buy them and how to wire this up. But for now, just to really test out like how this is going to look, I put together this one. This one's facing down, so you won't really see it. This one's facing up. But you can see that this is actually quite thick. And I really only have, something like ½ an inch of space under this panel, at least with the height it's at right now. And so if I plug this in, we should get a blinking light. Both of these should blink. But the problem is, when you put the panel on, See, it looks, if it was like this, it would be okay because it's lighting up the entire panel. But because it sits so close to the LED, like this, you can see like 3 dots through the panel. It looks kind of shitty on video to see what I mean, but I can clearly see 3 dots through here. So it's not diffusing enough because there's not enough height for the angle of the light to get into the panel and diffuse properly. And I just think that looks like dog shit. It really looks terrible. So I have a problem here. I need to figure out how to get lights to diffuse, diffuse over a huge distance when the height is like only, millimeters. And I don't really know how to do that. My thought right now is that my last resort is I could take the LED module and actually turn it sideways and fire it sideways from maybe 2 or 3 sides of the panel. And I'm wondering if that might diffuse more, especially if I put like a white or a foil like material there. I really don't know. I'm kind of worried about that because I definitely do want lights, but if they look like this, it's going to suck. Right now these are just crappy DDR panels that I had laying around, but eventually the goal is to have clear defrosted frosted panels like I do on my other pad, and the diffusion and the color of the lights are a big part of how that looks. So I kind of consider this a big problem now, something I have to resolve.